By the way, I am the original devs guy, right? So just saying, right?
Hey guys, just wanted to get this quick little video. I wanted to do this with my chat just now, but my goddamn OBS crashed, so I'm just gonna be doing this off stream. Yeah, essentially the topic is just gonna be the Etheria restart devs listen with this patch. Well, the devs said that they have nerfed the difficulty for these two particular stages. That is gonna be our Inferno Nico Nana as well as the Inferno Terramaton, right? And as you can see here, for both of these stages, I've actually managed to go ahead and get the Inferno clear, and this shouldn't be used as a benchmark because the teams that I'm gonna be running, you can see over here, is playing on auto right now. Yeah, we're just gonna be doing this. It is not supposed to be like a relatable team. It is not meant to be a benchmark. But yes, I do have myself a Lily running with Viper, Ling Luo, as well as D-Ting, right? But the main gist I kind of wanted to get a gun is the difficulty for these two stages, in my opinion, they have went down substantially before the patch that actually dropped in this, right? So previously, as a benchmark, I literally could not clear Terramaton, period. Right, previously, before this patch actually dropped, it was impossible for me to run my current team comps because unfortunately for this account, I do not have access to Shadow Sanya. So Lily is really like the only unit that I've been using with a lot of my other builds. I don't have Shadow Sanya, and frankly speaking, I personally just don't really want to raise DOT because in my like E7 PvP brain rotter mindset, spending Perfect Lettuce should only be reserved for giving it to units in PvP. I don't really want to spend Perfect Lettuce that much for units that are strictly PvE. Some might say you could use DOT in PvP, but I think it's really iffy, right? So that is why even if I had Shadow Sanya, most likely I wouldn't even have given her the Perfect Lettuce just for the sake of clearing content, because I know that as long as I get my current team, like the normal crit DPS team I have, and just raise them up eventually, I can get to a point where I will clear them one day, right? It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might just be someday, where because the amount of Perfect Lettuce that I would have saved into raising this PvE units, it allows me to transition better for a unit that would be good in both PvP as well as PvE. As an example, Messiah. I think Messiah is absolutely insane of a unit. In fact, I'll probably raise this up all the way to level 4 as well, just for the additional attack percentage traits. But I think he is super worth it as a character to invest because you can literally use him in every single, rather almost every single PvE stage I've been using, as well as being an excellent top tier DPS for PvPR. So that is like my personal Lettuce investment philosophy. But this video is not about that. This video is basically what exactly changed for this term and what this means for the game going forward into the future, right? So you can see over here my Nico Nana Inferno, we have pretty much almost a not even almost, pretty much a 100% success rate. And this was not the case before this patch drop, because I would say my success with this, first of all, it was like a lot slower, right? So this used to be my clear with Nico Nana Inferno. It literally went from a 4-minute 47-second clear to this was my first time ever clearing it after the patch drop immediately to a 1 minute and 42 seconds, running the literal exact same team. No changes to the gears, no changes to the dupes, the shells, nothing. The only change was after this patch drop, I would say the Nico Nana Inferno, it was considerably easier to the point where it is completely doable even without running Shadow Sanya, right? So that is gonna be for Inferno Nico Nana. I also noticed the changes for Inferno Terramaton. So these are gonna be my run that I did on mobile using Inferno Terramaton. You can see over here, I've been running the Lily, D-Ting, Claus, Valeria, as well as Holden, right? So they basically nerfed his speed, nerfed his HP, and sort of just make the fight a lot more accessible to the point where now I can actually survive his very first hit, which would have otherwise instantly one-shotted at least one of my units over here. And now the damage actually went down considerably. We got the attack down, we got the defense down, we got all of the speed debuffs, and we can actually help us proceed our unit to outpace Inferno Terramaton, which again, like I mentioned, it was previously straight up impossible. I've been trying using this exact same team before in the past. It was impossible for me to do this, but now the moment this patch dropped, it was all of a sudden manageable for me. In fact, this entire team, it was basically just running all in with the debuffs, slap on the DPS, and you just brute force your way through, and you're gonna be able to get a kill, right? And frankly speaking, this team, there are also a lot of ways that I can optimize. So for example, my Claus should have been a little bit faster, because you can see my very first D-Ting ultimate, it was before Claus actually affected the defense down, so it was a little bit of a waste. And then this move over here, sometimes he does the action value pushback, which you can see just my entire team of pushback, which is also not that ideal. So previously, if I have the perfect RNG, this boss
boss will probably be dead by now. But you can see my entire team is still very, very healthy using this non-DOT team. Lily, all that kind of stuff. But yes, it is not about showing a Lily-less run, right? It is not meant to be a guide. It is just simply showing that the difficulty of the Inferno dungeons have definitely been nerfed considerably compared to the patch before this actually dropped, right? So this is going to be a 1 minute 20 clear, 10 stamina, and that's going to be that. So talking about what this... Wait, hold up. Okay, unfortunately, we just got absolutely nothing, right? So talking about what this actually has to offer for us is that I would say that in the terms of progression of this game, especially with regards to the Inferno farming domains, they are definitely doing a dev to the moment where it is noticeably easier. I've also heard that they fixed a lot of different bugs as well as a quality of life. So for example, right now, if you were to level a unit from level 1, you can actually select this to allocate the amount of level you want to raise exactly instead of pressing this button continuously to get the specific. I think this is a very, very nice little quality of life update. And apparently for the daily quest, it has also been improved where it reduced the number of missions drastically to actually get to 12 out of 12. And I'm not sure if the drops for the daily rewards actually changed, but it did say that they updated the daily quest, right? And on top of that, they also mentioned that during the challenge for the Ethernet rally, they essentially nerfed the strength for a lot of these bosses to make it a lot more accessible. I haven't tried that myself. I'm probably going to be trying that all stream, but my bottom line is this: they are definitely going to be listening to the feedbacks provided by the player base, and a lot of which have been voiced out by a large portion of the community. So for example, the whole drama and like discussion with regards to the Inferno difficulty of Termaton as well as the Green Pursuit, it has been heard, and they basically took the retrospective steps to make it more accessible to the player base. I still haven't tried Shadow Flame Hoya as well as Ringosu yet, but at least right now, I can actually sink my stamina all in Nico Nana, get a good 3-piece matrix, and I eventually go back into Inferno Termaton to farm my gears up and then maybe get my team to be a better position to do this, right? I would say, even though the devs have definitely listened for this moment, there are still a lot of things that this game can do to improve, but for now, we are definitely on the right track. And one of the first things the games can do is fix the drop rates. I'm not sure if they actually changed the drop rates. I don't think they did, but as of right now, the biggest issue I have with this game has still not really been fixed, which is the drop rate economy for your Inferno clearing stages, be it for your Termaton, be it for any of your threshold modules, be it for your Green Pursuit. It is just way too low, right? So there should be no reason why, like for example, if I take over here, there should be zero reason why I am still getting a Twilight Knight and Epic Shell where I'm literally farming Inferno Nico Nana. And from the way I get it, right, in order to get these like 6-piece modules, Furry Edge or Swift Ray or whatever it's going to be, the RNG required to get this is that the system will first see if you get a 3-3 shell in the first place, right? A 3-line shell. Only after you get a 3-line shell, then there is a chance for that piece of shell to upgrade into either Furry Edge or Swift Ray, whichever is going to be the addition. Which means that if you don't hit that 3-3, you are pretty much just never gonna hit this probability of getting this, which means that getting a right set with the right, for example, right now, I believe the highest, strongest DPS set is probably gonna be Fury Kenai plus Fury Edge, right? So if you wanted this exact combination, or maybe Fury Momentum, Fury Edge, you need a very, very specific shell combinations to actually get this into an endgame, and you will spend hundreds, if not thousands of shells praying to God that you eventually get the set so that you can actually use it for a considerable upgrade, right? So I really just don't think there should be any reason why this shell is still going to be in place for Inferno difficulties, considering that the difficulty jump from Hell to Inferno is so much higher. Even though they nerf the difficulty, granted that it's going to be happening, but it is still a lot more difficult and not very accessible to the majority of the player base, right? So I would say that removing this is definitely going to be the way to go, because there's simply way too much RNG involved in getting the right shell you want for the rest of the teammates, be it DPS support or sustain, right? And the same exact argument can also be said for a threshold, which is there should be no reason why, if I'm going to be farming a Inferno dungeon difficulty, I'm still getting like 2-liners or like just very low quality drops, or like, okay, I understand 2 subsets, right? 2 subsets, you know, is part of the game, but getting like non-maxed 3-line matrices for 12-piece sets, it feels really bad, because if you add the layer of not getting a 3-piece matrix, that set is pretty much unusable, because by endgame it's always going to be 12-8-6 or maybe 12-12. It will never be something like a 11, right? You always really want to max out a 12-piece. So the moment it doesn't hit a 3 matrix, this entire module is just straight up unusable. And then on top of that, you have the RNG associated with 2 subset or 3 subset or maybe sometimes 4 subset. So I would say either by guaranteeing every single one of the triples, right? Every single one of these triples, it guarantees a 3 matrix drop, or just remove 2 subset lines. Because the moment I see a 2 subset line, I also just instantly toss them away because it costs way too much of this Etheria coin to actually level up a piece. I believe if you want to take one piece of gear all the way up to level 15, it's roughly 600,000 Etheria coins, and from one round of this, you get like 10k. That was on 2x event, if I'm not mistaken, right? But essentially, the economy for this is just simply not balanced. And if you're going to be doing like speed check, checking your crit rate, especially if you have like a right side piece of gear, right? So what I mean by right side piece of gear, because your right side piece of gear, usually the main stats are very resistant. They have flat defense, flat attack, defense bonus, crit damage. So the moment you get the right main stat, you will always just more or less want to invest, and that's where you just decide to go all in, and you spend a ridiculous amount of Etheria coins building up all these different units, right? So because of that, the layer of RNG associated with your Inferno thresholds, I still feel that it should definitely be reduced as well, either by removing the 2 modules, or rather 2 matrix, removing 2 subsets, or at least like, I don't know, like double the Etheria coins. So there's a little bit more economy to actually go ahead and balance this out as we progress through the game, right? If this is not going to be possible, I think adding higher difficulties can also be considered, but maybe not at this stage of the game, because Inferno itself, I'm pretty sure 80% of the player base cannot clear this. So it is definitely not something that I would expect the player base to expect to obtain. So maybe just by making it a little bit more accessible will be quite nice, right? Aside from these two, the only other biggest issue I have, which is gonna be this thing right here, right? This perfect lattice, it is way too scarce, right? So right now I have 9, right? But from the general income from purely free plays, if you include like events and everything, I don't foresee a player getting more than like 5 of this in a single month. And if we are gonna be releasing like 1 LD unit and 2 limited raid ups based on the current schedule, which means that every 2 weeks we're getting minimum 3 brand new 5 stars. So if you do want to eventually max out these skills and you are releasing units at this pace, it is quite literally impossible to get to a point where you can invest in all of these brand new units that comes out. And I raised up this problem before in my previous videos where I think that this perfect lattice economy, it is way too low. You definitely need to improve this because you're at a point where a player, I wouldn't even want to pull for Holden and Hoyan just because of the fact that if I know I pull for them and I don't have enough lattice to get this up to the respective lattice investments, then what's the point, right? And I don't think that a player should be punished for pulling a unit but not having the resources to raise these units. I know that this game gives you a lot of pools, super generous. The pool is not the issue. The issue is basically, can you even invest in these units in the first place? And if we're going to keep releasing more units, it is just not sustainable for a player base. So while I do feel that this entire patch, it has been a overall in the right step, because the difficulty for both the Inferno, which has been one of the biggest issue for the large majority of player base, they have definitely reduced the difficulty as well as giving a little bit more quality of life. There are still a lot of stats that we can take, and I still that at this point, at the Etheria restart, the game is great. I still enjoy this game to the fullest extent, no matter what people say. Me personally, I enjoy this game. It might be for you, it might not be for you. It is what it is. And devs, they have appeared that they are taking the necessary feedbacks to make this game improve patch by patch, right? So I'm still willing to be patient. I hope that eventually this can improve. Quick little update, right? So this is a post recording Poke. I just suddenly wanted to add this on, which is right now as I'm gonna be farming Nico Nana, right? I don't know if it's just me, but I've noticed that I've gotten a much higher number of Mythic shell drops. I don't really know how to explain it. So for example, not just Mythic shells from the form of like Alicorn, you know, all of the, you know, the Elite Artisans, you know, Gigabyte, not them itself, but even the triple drops, I've noticed a substantial amount of increment. So for example, right, before today, I only started farming Nico Nana Inferno for the last 2 days. Out of those 2 days of farming, not only was it like way more difficult, I could only get, I believe this was one of the only shells that I got as a triple. Swift Rush Strife Eater Blade. I'm not sure if it was this one or like some other piece, but this was one of the only shell that I got out of 2 entire days of slamming 10 max refreshes. Maybe I just might be unlucky, but as of today, from farming 10 max refresh as well, from just a single day, you can see that from the Eater Blade, I've already gotten 4 more over here, all maxed out matrices, right? And then for our Colossal Guard, you can see we got another 4 more. And then this is gonna be something that I added. I think I probably got this as well. So maybe I got 2, right? Maybe I got 2 out of the entire 2 max days of refresh, but I definitely did not go more than 2, right? Then all these, I pretty much just got them today. And then if you take a look into the Swift rate, then I just got this on stream, which was, absolute cinema. Very, very nice. And then for our Swift Smite, we also got 2 more of these over here. And then lastly, for our Evo Guard, we got 2 more of these. Which means that out of all of these Fury Edge, Ether Plague, all this kind of stuff from like farming your Nico Nana, I believe that combines us to a total of, this is how many? Sorry. Oh, there's one more of this Furry Edge over here. All right, so that is going to be another one. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we get another, let's just say 4. So that's going to be 9. And then this is going to be 1. So that's going to be 10, 11, 12, and 13 and 14. I have gotten 14 triple matrix from doing 1 full day of max refresh. I technically still have like a little bit of run left, so like probably like 140 energy-ish. But I don't know if it's just me, but it was like a lot more tree-lying mythic shells. So maybe a shadow buff might be an outlier. I'm not sure. Let me know what you guys in the comments. Did you guys also notice an increased drop rate for your mythic shells? Especially not just mythic shells, but like tree-lying mythic shells, right? So that's pretty much it. Going forward in the future, let me know what you guys in the comments below. And tomorrow is gonna be, I believe, Yelly's release. So looking forward to see you guys there. And then afterwards, I'm gonna be going back to HSI and everything else. Right? So word of the day is gonna be devs. Join Twitch, join YouTube, join Discord, join Discord. Yeah, by the way, I am the original devs guy, right? So just saying, right? All the best, my guys, boost. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.